They tried to keep this quiet. They tried to control the narrative. They tried to make you believe everything was fine behind those closed hospital doors, but today, the truth has exploded wide open, and what Triple H just announced about Paul Heyman has left the entire WWE universe absolutely shattered. And if you think you already know what happened, I promise you, you do not. Stay right here, because what I'm about to reveal in the next few minutes will change everything you thought you knew about Paul Heyman's condition, Seth Rollins' brutal attack, and the future of WWE as we know it. Let me be very clear about something right now. What Seth Rollins did to Paul Heyman on Raw was not just a wrestling angle. It was not just a storyline moment designed to pop a rating. What we witnessed was one of the most vicious, calculated, and cold-blooded acts of aggression this company has ever aired on television. Seth Rollins did not just attack Paul Heyman. He dismantled him. He broke him. He left him on that mat like a crumpled piece of paper, and the entire locker room stood backstage watching monitors in stunned silence. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Because what they saw was not a pro wrestling attack. What they saw was something deeply personal, something that crossed a line that even the most hardened veterans in that locker room had never seen crossed before. And when the cameras stopped rolling that night, when the arena went dark and the fans walked out still trembling from what they had witnessed, Paul Heyman was not taken to a backstage medical office for a routine check. He was rushed. He was rushed out of that building and transported directly to a hospital. And that should tell you everything. Because WWE does not rush people to hospitals over bumps. WWE does not rush people to hospitals over worked storylines. Something was real. Something was wrong. And the moment that news broke, every single person inside and outside of that locker room knew that the landscape of WWE had changed forever. Now here is where things get even more intense, and I need you to pay very close attention to what I'm about to say. Triple H, the chief content officer of WWE, the man who rebuilt this company from the ground up, the man who is not known for showing emotion publicly, Triple H arrived at that hospital. He walked through those doors, and when he came out to address the situation, the look on his face was something nobody in that room was prepared for. This was not the calculated, composed, strategic Triple H that we see in press conferences and media appearances. This was a man who was genuinely shaken. This was a man who had tears in his eyes that he could not hide no matter how hard he tried. And what he said in that moment, what he announced about Paul Heyman's condition, sent shockwaves through every single person who heard it. But before I get into the full details of that announcement, I have to give you the full picture of what led to this moment, because without context, you will not understand the full weight of what Triple H revealed. Paul Heyman has been one of the most important figures in professional wrestling for over 3 decades. Love him or hate him, and trust me, WWE has made sure you've had reasons to feel both. Paul Heyman is irreplaceable. He is the architect. He is the visionary. He is the man who took a young Brock Lesnar and turned him into the most dominant force WWE has ever seen. He is the man who took Roman Reigns and elevated him to levels that even the most optimistic WWE fan could not have predicted. Paul Heyman does not just manage. Paul Heyman creates empires. And Seth Rollins, a man who has felt the sting of Heyman's genius working against him time and time again, finally snapped. But here is what makes Seth Rollins' attack even more infuriating, even more rage-inducing than anything else. Seth Rollins knew exactly what he was doing. This was not an impulsive moment. This was not a man who lost his temper. Every single movement in that attack was deliberate. Every single blow was calculated. Seth Rollins targeted Paul Heyman with the specific intention of sending a message so loud and so violent that nobody in WWE could ignore it. He wanted to hurt Heyman, not in the kayfabe sense. He wanted to reach through the layers of storyline and character and hit something real. And watching it happen in real time, watching Paul Heyman go down and stay down, watching the referees and officials rush in with genuine panic on their faces, that was the moment the WWE Universe realized this had escalated beyond anything a scripted television show was supposed to contain. Now, the question that every single fan has been asking since that night is simple: how bad is it? What is Paul Heyman's actual condition? And 4 days, WWE kept the information locked down tight. There were no official statements. There were no social media updates. There was nothing but silence, and that silence was deafening. Because in the world of professional wrestling, silence from the company usually means one of two things. Either the situation is being legally managed and they cannot speak, or the situation is so serious that they don't know what to say yet. And then Triple H walked out of that hospital. What year did Paul Heyman first become an on-screen manager in WWE? Drop your answer in the comments below. Let's see who really knows their WWE history. Triple H's announcement was unlike anything the WWE Universe had ever heard from a corporate official. It was raw, it was unfiltered, and it contained information that nobody, not the dirt sheets, not the insiders, not the most connected journalists in the wrestling media world, had reported yet. Triple H confirmed that Paul Heyman's condition following the Seth Rollins attack was far more serious than what had been presented on television. The injuries that Heyman sustained were not minor. The internal damage, and yes, Triple H used those exact words, was significant enough that medical staff had to intervene at a level that goes beyond routine sports entertainment injury protocol. But here is the part that will absolutely break your heart and ignite your fury at the same time. Triple H, standing there with emotion visibly overtaking him, said something that no WWE executive has ever said publicly about a talent in the context of a storyline moment. He said that what happened to Paul Heyman should never have gone that far. He said that there are boundaries, professional boundaries, human boundaries, and that what Seth Rollins did shattered those boundaries in a way that WWE was not prepared for and would not tolerate going forward. Now let that sink in. Triple H, the game, the cerebral assassin, the man who built his entire legacy on strategic ruthlessness, is standing outside a hospital telling the world that Seth Rollins went too far. That is not a scripted line. That is not a WWE talking point designed to generate heat for a future pay-per-view match. That is a man in charge of a billion-dollar entertainment empire expressing genuine concern and genuine anger about what one of his performers did to one of his most valued associates. And the WWE universe is divided. Violently, passionately divided. Because on one side, you have the Seth Rollins defenders, the fans who have followed the visionary for years, who have watched him get overlooked and outmaneuvered and manipulated by Heyman's clients time and time again, and they are saying Seth Rollins was justified. They are saying Paul Heyman played the game and finally got burned by it. They are saying that a man who has spent decades weaponizing other people's pain finally felt some of his own. And on the other side, the larger side, the louder side, you have the fans who are absolutely furious. Fans who see this as an unconscionable act of cowardice. Paul Heyman is not a wrestler. Paul Heyman is not a trained athlete built to absorb punishment. He is a 58-year-old manager, a creative mind, a talker, and Seth Rollins physically destroyed him in front of millions of people and apparently felt nothing. And that is what has the WWE universe ready to boil over. But here is where this story takes yet another turn that nobody saw coming. Because in the aftermath of Triple H's announcement, in the hours that followed his hospital statement going viral across every wrestling platform, every sports media outlet, every social media feed, something happened backstage in WWE that has sources talking. Multiple individuals within the company have confirmed that the locker room response to what Triple H said was immediate and intense. Wrestlers who had stayed silent about the Rollins-Heyman situation suddenly had opinions, suddenly had things they wanted to say. And the conversations happening behind closed doors at WWE headquarters right now are not conversations about creative direction or pay-per-view booking. They are conversations about accountability. They are conversations about what kind of company WWE wants to be and what kind of behavior it will and will not accept from its performers. Seth Rollins has not issued a public statement. He has not appeared on any WWE programming since the attack. His social media has gone completely dark. And that silence, that same suffocating silence that WWE corporate maintained for days, is now coming from Seth Rollins himself. And the longer he stays quiet, the louder the questions get. What does he know? What has he been told? Has WWE taken action internally that we haven't been told about yet? Is Seth Rollins' future in WWE more uncertain right now than any of us are comfortable admitting? And then there's Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, the man who Paul Heyman served 4 years as his special counsel, his advisor, his most loyal lieutenant. Roman Reigns has not spoken publicly about what happened to Paul Heyman. And in the world of WWE storytelling and reality blurring together, Roman Reigns' silence might be the most significant silence of all. Because if Roman Reigns decides that what Seth Rollins did to Paul Heyman requires a personal response, if the tribal chief decides that this transgression cannot go unanswered, then Seth Rollins is not just dealing with a PR problem. Seth Rollins is dealing with the most dangerous man in professional wrestling coming for him with the full weight of personal vendetta behind every step. The implications of Triple H's hospital announcement extend far beyond one storyline, far beyond one pay-per-view, far beyond even Paul Heyman's physical recovery. What this moment has done is strip away the comfortable fiction that wrestling fans construct around themselves, the agreement we all make when we watch WWE that says this is entertainment, this is performance, this is storytelling. Triple H walked out of that hospital and in his eyes, in his voice, in the tremble that he could not control, he reminded every single one of us that the people inside that ring and behind those curtains are human beings. And sometimes, the line between the story and the reality is thinner than any of us want to believe. Paul Heyman deserves better than what happened to him. That is not a controversial statement. That is not a hot take. That is a simple human truth that transcends whatever feelings you have about his character or his history or the villains he has helped create. And if WWE, if Triple H, follows through on the promise that was embedded in every word of that hospital announcement, then Seth Rollins is about to face consequences unlike anything this company has ever delivered to one of its own performers. The story is not over. In many ways, it has only just begun. and every development, every update, every piece of information that breaks about Paul Heyman's recovery, about Seth Rollins' status, about Triple H's next move, you are going to find it right here, right on this channel, before anyone else. Name one match where Paul Heyman was directly involved at ringside that completely changed the outcome, and tell us if you think that moment was genius or dirty. Drop it below. So here is what I need from you right now. If you believe that Seth Rollins crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed, comment. If you think WWE needs to hold him accountable in a way that actually means something, share this video, because this conversation needs to be louder than it currently is. The WWE Universe has a voice, and right now that voice needs to be demanding answers, demanding accountability, and demanding that Paul Heyman gets the respect he has earned over 30 years in this business. Triple H made his announcement. Now it's your turn to make yours. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you think happens next. Tell me where you stand. And make sure you are subscribed with that notification bell turned on, because this story is moving fast and you cannot afford to miss a single update. This is not over. Not even close.